Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Route 6, the most boring stretch of two-lane highway in the state of Ohio. On Saturday morning, my friend Alicia and I drove 2.5 hours on the most boring stretch of road in Ohio to the city of Cleveland to hear Mike Lombardo and Driftless Pony Club perform in their last tour performance. But before we did that, we spent the day exploring the city. Cleveland is one of those cities that kind of pales in comparison to cities like Chicago or New York, but it still has a lot to offer if you know where to look. And our first stop that morning was to see a truly historic and cultural landmark. The house from A Christmas Story. Yes, the very house. I'd finally seen the movie all the way through a couple months ago, so it was kind of fun to see the place in real life, though the irony of the house being closed on Christmas did not escape me. Also, we went to the shed around back and discovered the dirty little secret of the fragile leg lamp. But what fascinated me more than the house was the museum gift shop. I mean, good God, but these people know how to put the cult in cult classic. You had your pink onesies and models of the lamp, of course, that's predictable, but you also had Christmas Story puzzles, Christmas Story board games, Christmas Story Christmas stockings, Christmas Story cookie cutters, a Christmas Story Snuggie, and of course, what Christmas Story gift shop would be complete without Christmas Story bobbleheads. After that, we went to the Cleveland Museum of Art because it's one of the things you can do for free in Cleveland. After following the helpful signs, we found the various galleries. I've always liked walking around art museums because it feels like you're walking through time a little bit, and it's fascinating to see how different artists chose to express themselves. I like looking at some of the obvious titles of not-so-obvious pieces of artwork and vice versa, especially in the contemporary art section, which sadly I couldn't get any footage of. I think one of the things I like about contemporary art is its versatility. A lot of it seems silly or lazy, but there's also a wide variety of interesting ways that artists have chosen to express themselves. Our next stop was a place called The Arcade, which proved to be a disappointment. I don't see a single video game in this arcade. So with several hours to kill, we decided to explore the city and happened upon one of the most epic Civil War memorials I've ever seen. A massive series of statues, etchings, and symbols, with each of its four sides basically standing as its own monument. A historian named Tim gave us a tour of the inside. Tim is one of those people who belongs in a middle school history classroom. He's funny and insightful and knows how to find the stories in history to make it interesting as well as informative. He told us the memorial had been there for 116 years. Inside were the names of all the people from the county alone who had served, as well as incredibly detailed reliefs, including one of the few that depicts the important women of the Civil War, and fascinating architecture, all meant to paint a picture and tell a story. Tim also gave us a great piece of advice about visiting Cleveland. When walking into old buildings, and Cleveland is, by and large, old buildings, look up. I am such a tourist. With 4 hours still to kill, Alicia and I went to the place that nerds always go with 4 hours to kill, the library. I have to say I'm kind of in love with the Cleveland Public Library, not only because it's huge, but also because it's so interestingly designed. It also has one of the biggest collections of graphic novels I've ever seen, even compared to a commercial bookstore, as well as this cool globe with animals, people, and definitive objects making up the various countries. Sadly, they only had one John Green novel, but we just assumed that the others were checked out due to the massive amount of nerd fighters in Cleveland. Finally, it was time for the concert. We listened to some good warm-up bands, but I didn't get any footage of them because this was happening. Wheezywaiter's behind me. Mike Lombardo's group played first, and Alicia kept saying how they sound so much better live, and I have to agree. There was a passion to their expression and the way they fed off the enthusiasm of their audience that you just don't get from a recording. Same for Driftless Pony Club. Admittedly, I don't get to a lot of concerts, but I've never seen musicians perform with so much energy. And as I was thinking about the many different types of art we'd seen that day, it occurred to me that the fascination I have with art isn't necessarily about what is being expressed, but how it's being expressed. Whether it's through music, or architecture, or sculpture, or paintings, or books, or movies, or mosaics, or video blogs, or even gift shop trinkets. These artists have found some way to express something that goes beyond words, and what we choose to take from that is up to us. And as we were driving that boring stretch of road home, I wondered if looking more closely at the how could give us a glimpse into the what. I'll see you next time.